So this is the Resident Evil 7 teaser that was just released. Um, it is Wednesday, June 15th. This came out, I don't think it was yesterday, I think it was maybe the night before. It came out Monday, I'm pretty sure, anyway. But it ain't my Resident Evil. It's not my Resident Evil. It's definitely my PT, if that's a thing. And sorry if I sound a bit like shit during this video. It's because I've been ill for the past week. If you're new to this channel, I'm ill constantly for whatever reason. I'm ill pretty often. Nonetheless, this is the presentation that they released, or the demo that they released after their E3 presentation, and it is very strange. I remember being excited for this coming out and actually saying, like, you know, it's pretty cool because they've hired somebody who worked on PT. And I remember using that as like a positive and saying, hey, don't worry, they've hired someone from PT, it's going to be scary. And then when I saw this, it was like, oh, so did they just tell this fucking guy from PT to make the whole thing? Because that's what this kind of looks like. It looks just like PT. And I think that as good as PT was, we've kind of gone backwards now with horror. Because this is Resident Evil. This is the first, and here's the keyword by the way, survival horror game. Now in this, and again, it's a trailer, it's a teaser. If this isn't what the actual game is, then thank fucking God for that. Maybe Silent Hill wasn't going to be like PT, so there we go. But there's no survival in this trailer, or in this teaser. But there we go. I mean, how much can we judge from this? But anyway, this is all we've got right now. So as a Resident Evil fan, this is all I have to go off of. So that's what we're gonna go with this basically. Now, I'm sorry because my head is in the way of the inventory system. There's a finger. There's a finger. There's a finger. There's a finger. Anyway, yeah. So Resident Evil, in case you didn't know, the first Resident Evil game, it was bright because I guess that's all they could do, and I'm sure they could fill it for the shadows. All right, so let's look at it as a whole, because I'm trying to collect my thoughts as I look at this. So Resident Evil 1, of course, it was remade in 2002, and it became very dark and kind of like the way this looks, which is good, right? But then this is just this is very realistic. You know, apart from her hand, look at that weird hand. The fuck was that? Gross. It looked like very feminine, that hand, actually, I'll be honest. Like a chick's hand. So anyway, Resident Evil 1, survival horror, you know, clunky dialogue, funny fucking dialogue. Barry and Chris, Jill, Rebecca and Wesker, and, you know, survival horror and bazookas and shotguns and pistols and this, that, and the other. You know, that's Resident Evil 1. And again, it got remade to be realistic. And I'm not looking at myself in the webcam. I just realized I had a hole in my head because my settings are bright. My bad. I got a shiny head right now. It's distracting. I'm going to move that actually. Resident Evil 2 came out, and that was about Claire and Leon, obviously. And I am working on a video on that at the moment, which would be pretty fun. But that is in a city, and again, it's survival horror. Survival being the key word. And it's about not so much clunky dialogue, nothing really embarrassing or anything that really stands out. But again, shotgun and magnum and pistol and survival horror. That's the main thing. See, when Capcom puts on their Facebook, hey guys, we're going to go back to our horror roots. Okay, that's cool, but you're not Clock Tower. You're not Alone in the Dark. These games are survival horror games. You know, much in the same way that Dead Space is, but then again, Dead Space, you kind of, you know, he was like a tank. But again, survival horror. The horrors are attacking you and you are trying to survive them. This, what I'm looking at right now, there is no survival in this. And again, you know, it's just a demo. It's just PT Lite being remade by the folks at Capcom. And, you know, that's just the way it goes. But if they are taking it in a whole new direction, then it's not my Resident Evil. And I kind of feel weird talking over these guys' dialogue, because obviously they put a lot of effort into it. So I might turn it down a tiny bit. What's strange about this is that it said fucking July or June 2017, and they're using a VHS tape and a VHS camera. What world do you live in, Capcom? Nonetheless, so yeah, Resident Evil 1 got these cast of characters, survival horror. Resident Evil 2, cast of characters, survival horror. Resident Evil 3, Jill Valentine in a huge open city, survival horror. Surviving the city itself, surviving the zombie, surviving Nemesis, survival horror. Code Veronica, Claire, surviving the island, survival horror. There are guns in that game, a lot of guns in that game, big guns, small guns, multiple guns. It's a survival horror game. Resident Evil 4, action game. Survival horror mixed with action, because there is some scary shit in that game when you really get into it. But again, survival horror. I have to say it 100 times this video. I might make a count actually and put it up there. RE5, action, like straight up. No real horror in it. They kind of go for some like gross out here and there, which is pretty good. It counts as horror. Resident Evil 6, just action. You know, just the bigger ups at Capcom saying, we need to make money. How do we make money? Let's make an action game. So here we are, Resident Evil 7. The fans have said, fuck you, don't make fucking action games out of our series. So now they're giving us horror. And again, I am judging the book by the fucking cover. This is 100% my thoughts on this teaser trailer. And maybe it will turn out that this is not what I think it is. But then when you look at this setting, you know, they're hillbillies in a house. It looks a lot like Wreck, the film. If you've ever seen Wreck, it's an awesome film. And yeah, on top of that, you know, again, it's really hard to judge it. I don't want to fucking throw it under the bus completely because it's not survival horror, because this is just a trailer again. But if this is the setup for something bigger, then it's not very Resident Evil. You know, Resident Evil is, the route that it took was kind of like scientists and scientific, and they made the T-virus in a lab and it leaked to the city, and here we are in Outback Jack's house, some fucking hillbilly or whatever. What am I looking at? I don't know what this is. It's not my Resident Evil. Again, fucking, it's a teaser. Judged it a lot on just the teaser, so, you know. So again, we're just looking at this right now and trying to take away from it what we can. But I really want to contrast it to what we've had in the past. And what we've had in the past was, you know, survival horror. We had guns and shooting. And with this, it seems to be like, oh, there's a horrific family here. You know, there's this welcome to the family. Is it the Wesker family? No, because they're hillbillies. And then if people are going to say, well, you know what, they're, you know, people are saying like, hey, you know, we are, you know, they're reselling it. They're rebooting the whole thing and they're making this brand new idea. And it's like, okay, cool. Why not just make a new game why not just name it something completely different? Why are you, by calling it Resident Evil 7, you are giving it to me to compare it to the rest of the Resident Evil series. And on top of that, you know, yeah. So you need, you know, there's that. And maybe this is what people want. It's not what I want. It's not really what I want. You know, now that Kojima has left Konami, he's making his own horror game. So here's this guy, and you're like, "Sup, man? What's going on?" Oh, you were like sucking on that pipe for some reason. So there's that. And apparently this guy was watching this videotape so intently that someone managed to hide this piece of paper in front of his face. What the fuck? So there's that. I would kind of like to play through this and just go straight for gold. Like, we know that now after watching that video, you know, you go under the, like, there's something secret that you do where you open up the fireplace. Like, I'd love to just go straight for the fireplace. Again, it is a very intriguing trailer in the sense that there are a lot of secrets to it, which is pretty cool. You know, and it does look like there's quite a bit of like replay value. There is a ton of horror tropes though, like the mannequins and the jump scares that aren't jump scares. Again, it's got a guy from PT that worked on it. But yeah, it's not my fucking Resident Evil. Where is the shotgun? Where is Barry and Chris and etc, etc, etc. Again, all right. So let's go from scratch. So it's a brand new Resident Evil game. So do you take what happened? You know, why call it Resident Evil 7 if you're not going to use what's already there? If you're telling me that Resident Evil, this is this is 2007. So let's look at it like this. This is a Resident Evil game and it's Resident Evil 7, right? It's set in 2017, July or June, whatever it said. JUN, I didn't see it properly. The outbreak in Raccoon City took place in 98. The outbreak that Leon dealt with, I'm pretty sure it was 2002 or 2004. Because I know the game came out in 2004, but I don't know if it was set in 2004. I'm pretty sure Resident Evil 5 was set in 2007. Again, this is all off the top of my head, so I could be totally wrong. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to remember things. I don't give a fuck about Resident Evil 6. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Okay, it doesn't mean that Resident Evil 6 doesn't exist. Resident Evil 6 definitely existed, but I don't remember the timeline of that game at all because I didn't finish it because it fucking sucked. So, there's that as well. So, this being in 2017, I'm probably going to say, let's roughly say 10 years-ish since since the outbreak in Raccoon City. They should know, like, why are you looking for monsters? Why are you looking for ghosts if you live in this world where there were monsters, there were nemesis happened? And this isn't just like a closed, this outbreak took over the fucking world pretty much. If it was in Tokyo and it was in New York and it was in, all these different places. So in what world is this where in 2017 we have VHS tape camcorders still filming for a TV show, by the way, And we have people that are looking for spooks, looking for ghosts, looking for haunted houses. Unless this is a completely different canon, unless this is a completely different world. But then if that's the case, why call it Resident Evil? Why have it be Resident Evil 7 unless, like, oh, the last minute of the game, or they name the characters the same, right? Or they name the character... Oh, no. You're not allowed to play a piano. No. No piano for you. You know, if it turns out, oh, actually, this character's name is Jewel Redfield. Oh. Amazing. Right? It's amazing. What a shocker that would be. Why reboot it just to reboot it? And then be like, Resident Evil 7, it's the scariest game around. Right, but then again, you're splintering it again. You're splintering it again like you did before. Because Resident Evil 2 was an incredible atmospheric game, and along with 3 and 1, and then you splintered it, and you made 4, and you made 4, and then you made 5, and you made 6, and you already split the groups. So I can't say anymore Resident Evil 2 is the best survival horror game, and then say it's the best Resident Evil game, because you've got Resident Evil 4, which is a completely different fucking animal, you know, that you can't compare them. And then you make this, which is now horror. So you can say Resident Evil 2 is the best Resident Evil game that's survival horror. Resident Evil 4 is the best Resident Evil game that is an action-based survival horror game. And then Resident Evil 7, well, that's the best horror game. Like, why the fuck are we splintering this off into 3 different subgenres? And yes, I know I'm thinking too much into this before it's even been released. But if they're saying you can play through the whole game with VR and a VR headset, you aren't fighting zombies with a VR headset. You're not, you know, loading up a shotgun. You're doing stuff like this because you're looking through your eyes. You're not. So that's how I feel about it. See, it's strange because this is supposed to be like a VHS tape. But then, what is he wearing, like a helmet with the camera on? That's the only way that makes sense, because it's basically his eyes, right? Oh, so I guess it's like if you spend too long doing certain things, he ends up just attacking you anyway. So that's interesting. So that's how I feel about Resident Evil 7. That's how I feel about the teaser trailer. Basically, I don't know how to fucking feel. Well, I guess I do, actually. I guess I don't even know how to say out loud how I feel. Because I can't tell if I'm going to be fucking furious when this comes out, or whether it's going to be a great horror game. You know, this kind of surrealistic, up close look like this, it does work for Silent Hill, because you are kind of dealing with like memories and amnesia and this, that, and the other. But then with this, with Resident Evil, that ain't my fucking Resident Evil. This ain't my Resident Evil. This is something completely different than one I love. This isn't Resident Evil 2. And to be honest, it kind of worries me a little bit if these are the people that are making Resident Evil 2 again, because this ain't fucking that. So if you watched up to this point in the video, thank you so much. I'm sorry I got a bit rambly. I am a little ill. I just really wanted to try and get my thoughts out there and just talk about it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. So cheers. Enjoy the rest of E3.